Hey,
Hey
welcome
guys,
everybody.
how's it
Hi there.
going?
Yeah, it's going good. How you doing, man?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins. I,
Yes,
I might be a twin,
you might be a twin. All
but
right.
most likely not. You
Most
know,
likely not because you're not better.
but the fact that I'm sitting here in a screen beneath the amazing Static P,
Oh.
we're switched.
Oh, snap. What? Wait, that's right. Joe came in second this time. Hold on, let me switch.
Uh-oh. No, oh, this is trippy.
Am I the static pig now?
Are we corrected?
Mm, this is good.
Thanks. Oh man.
Thanks for telling us after the stream started, Jesse.
So
Appreciate it.
I have to ask our producers, Jesse V. Jesse, are you muted right now? Or can everybody hear you?
Everyone can hear me now.
All right, that's
Yes.
good. That's good.
We like that everybody can hear you.
12 hours of waddle waddle. You want that? That is not possible for Joe.
It is, but
Yes, it is, but it would not be smart because he has work in
right,
less than 12
yes.
hours.
Yes, in less than 12 hours I will probably be doing
Mhm.
something else
Yes,
for sure.
for sure. You will have done a lot of different things.
Probably for sure I will be working on other projects.
Mhm.
But yeah, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we stream on YouTube and we take questions in the chat, or if you're dealing with any type of an issue, we do our best to take a stab at helping you through that.
Mhm.
We're not professionals, we're not psychologists or attorneys or anybody like that, but what we want to do is we want to give back to you guys, our community that's given us so much, and we're very humbled to have you all with us. And we just come as friends and offer friendly advice, and hopefully stuff we say can offer some perspective, because I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been through some issues, and generally, the more issues you go through, the more
Better you
prepared
get at
you are
solving
to
them.
help others through theirs. So,
Mhm.
um, Ryan particularly has been through many issues, uh, mostly good ones.
Well, they're all good. They're all good. Every one of them seems bad at first, and then they're like, "Oh, that's a good thing right there."
Well,
Um,
yeah, because no matter how evil something may seem, good can come out of it.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's very true. A lot of times we're very quick to say, "Oh, this is bad," just because we don't like the feeling of it, you know. But um, just like you said, so much good can come out of anything, really,
Mm-hmm.
if you are willing to take the time to figure out and make that good happen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
Rack Attack and Tef, I appreciate your vote of confidence that I would be able to do this while working.
it would
In
be
my line of
interesting.
work, it would be very difficult.
Hmm. Line of work entails doing inspections on houses and handing people letters and things like that. So it would be kind of interesting to be handing somebody a letter and saying, "Hey, this is a little note card from your mortgage company. Please call them." And then at
Yes.
the same time, talking to us and saying whatever he has to say.
Yeah. Or, but sometimes you would get a tour of a
That's
vacant
true.
house
Hmm.
that somebody has left in absolute shambles, and
Yeah,
those are quite amazing sometimes to go through.
yeah,
Um,
it's pretty horrific, honestly. I remember one time going through a house and there was just like a single turd on the ground, and it was human.
just one?
Yeah, just one, and then there was a matchstick in it. Someone tried
Oh.
to light the turd on fire in this abandoned house. I'm not even joking. It was stupid. I walk in, and it didn't smell, luckily, but yeah, it was a bit too cold for it to have smelled. But yeah, a single turd in the middle of the floor with a matchstick burnt sticking out of it. Great. Yeah.
Wow.
The things you see in abandoned houses. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. There are those
Mhm.
abandoned houses. You know, a lot of people have a rule. Like if you go to their house, they're like, hey, take your shoes off or wipe your feet at least before you come in. There there are houses. There were a couple that I went through today where they're the type that you wipe your feet after you've been in the house. As you're coming out, you wipe your feet in the grass and the dirt because that's cleaner than what you were just walking through. And you'd rather have
Yeah,
grass and the dirt in your car than the stuff that was in the house.
it's
in your
true.
car.
It's true. I've walked through some pretty bad houses, but I'm sure knowing your area, it's been even worse for you.
I don't know, man. You
Yeah,
find
you find
interesting
people
things in
everywhere.
all areas. You certainly do. I've worked enough areas where, people are people.
Hmm.
And,
Some people are really messy.
people under distress are people under distress, and
Mhm.
I totally understand. I have to waddle everywhere.
Well, there's a waddle
La-
everywhere.
Last time I bounced.
But you did. You
I
did.
hope to not do that again, but that was on a Friday. Bouncy,
That's
bouncy Friday
right.
or something.
Don't flip out, but bounce. Yes.
And Taft tells us to please burn those houses. Yeah.
Jeez. Some of them really ought to just be destroyed.
Hmm.
Some of them are fine if you can clean them up, but they'll take a lot of work.
Hmm. But that is a glorious day. I have had houses on my route for a long time that were just horrible and they were awful to go through. And then the glorious day when the city has come in and knocked the house down and put dirt and grass, they planted grass. It's just a vacant lot now. And I show up and I'm like, I'm
Yes.
so excited. Look at this. Of
Mhm.
course, then you take pictures of that to send it to your client, and then they send it back and they're like, last month there was a house there. I'm like, yep.
Yep.
This month there's
Yes.
not.
And then they
Ain't it
send it
great?
back to you like 20 times because they're like, you are taking picture of the wrong lot. There's supposed to be a house here. And you're like, no, read what I sent you. And they're like, excuse me, you are sending pictures of the wrong thing. There's supposed to be a house here. And you're like, no, read the thing I sent you.
Uh, I'm reading your letters. You should read mine too.
Yeah, you should read mine. It would be no, okay, whatever. Now you're charging me $30. Great. Okay.
Yes. I'm glad that it's Wednesday and we can be Waddle Waddle Wednesday today. This is great.
Shooting. So ducks, is that what ducks say? They say newt newt. Because I didn't
What
know
is
that
this
about ducks,
newt
but I
newt?
like it. Newt newt. I like that ducks say that. It's weird. Usually they say quack, but
Quack, quack.
oh, okay. Hey, welcome by the way, everybody. Thanks for being here. Hi,
Yeah.
Gray, Tef, Raka, Angel, Trinity, Sunnily, Jesse. Jesse's here. Dislocated Thumb. Nice.
Who's dislocated thumb?
That's their name. Dislocated Thumb.
Did I miss that in there?
Yeah, they've posted
Oh,
some
there it is.
comments. They have a
Bacataco. Yes.
Pakataco. Stupid octopus. So yeah. Does anybody have anything that they're currently going through in life that they would like to talk about? Anything with it could be family related or maybe something at school. Maybe you don't remember how to tie your shoes anymore and you'd like some help with that. Um, anything. I think for now we'll go to the Black Static and Swerve website, bss.studio,
Yes.
and see what's posted there. Don't worry, Winston.
We've got quite a list in the Don't
Oh,
Worry Wednesday.
hey,
Do we
Antilla.
are there any that we have not handled in here?
Let's see here. Okay, we did handle that one. Oh, okay, yeah.
How does one tie a tie? That's a great question, Rack Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the tie.
Depends
And
on the
it
tie.
depends on the
Depends on
knot.
the knot. Yeah.
You
So what
could
I
tie it
do.
like a shoe, and it is different than there are so many different ways to tie things. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But generally the rabbit goes around the tree, one tree or two trees, and then down the rabbit hole.
Okay. Interesting. I just put it on, and then I throw the. Let's see. I throw the. Okay, so you have the thick end and the thin end, right? You've got a thick end and small end. So it's laying down on your shoulder. You put the small end over here. Then you actually have the small end overlap the thick end. And then you take the thick end and you throw it over the arch, the X part that happens here. And then after you do that, you do a loop and then you stuff it down and through, and then it's done and you tighten it.
Yeah, and then you finagle it a little bit to
And
make
then
it.
you finagle a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to kind of make it look pretty, and
Mm-hmm.
then don't
Yeah.
choke yourself.
There's actually like tons of different ways you can tie a tie. The
Hmm.
best thing you can do is just go to Google real quick and then say how to tie a tie, and Google will give you a list of different ties.
Hmm. And
And
then you
then
pick the one that you like the best,
yeah,
whether it's just
it's
a
easy.
regular single or if it's a double Windsor
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
a
There's.
Windsor or double Windsor.
Hmm.
I would recommend just doing whatever one looks the easiest if it's your first time and you don't have a whole lot of time. If you've got like an hour, try a few.
Then take a whole
Yes.
bunch of. So Sunnily asks a question.
Oh, okay.
Suddenly Bright asks, how do you deal with jealousy from seeing your friend getting close with someone else and you feeling left out?
Mm. Oh, that's right. It is Senna's birthday today. Happy birthday, Senna. Nice to see you. I was gonna say happy birthday to you, but
Yes, happy birthday, Senna.
I haven't gotten the chance to yet. Happy birthday. God bless. Nice to see you. Okay.
What a great way to spend your birthday. You're here at the
Mm-hmm.
Waddle Waddle Wednesday
That's
show
right.
with
Sure.
us. We're so honored that you're here on your birthday.
Yeah. I mean, we love you, and that's a good thing.
Hmm.
Okay, so for Sonali's question here, um, how do you deal with jealousy from seeing your friend getting close with someone else and you feeling left out? Um, usually when I start to see myself do something like that, um, I when I notice like, okay, when I see myself like getting jealous or something of someone else, and I'm like, the first thing I do is I come to grips with myself and say, okay, I'm being selfish, right? That's the first thing I do is I look at myself and I say, okay, I'm in the wrong here. They didn't do anything wrong. I didn't really do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. No one's done anything wrong here, but I'm craving this thing because I see someone else has something I don't. And I feel like, that's for me, I should be a stronger individual than that. And so I tell myself this, right?
How do you get to the point where you can even fathom that? Because that's a difficult place to get to, you know?
Um, I
Sometimes
think,
it's just an automatic jealousy
yeah.
feeling. How can you step back from a situation like that and actually, look at
Mm.
yourself in that regard?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll have a couple different things. A lot of times if I'm feeling something, um, I guess I've created a habit of if I'm feeling something and I don't like that feeling, I'll take a step back and say, "Am I the one that's wrong here?" And
Mm.
I'll because a lot of times a feeling is something that's inside of you. A feeling is an emotion. It's only inside of you. It's not something out in the physical world that you can touch. That can, I mean, you can put your feeling onto somebody else, but really, it's all inside of you. Um, and so when I'm feeling something bad that I don't enjoy, a lot of times I'll address it. That's the first thing I need to do is address that feeling and say, um, why is that feeling here? And what can I do to change it? Because I don't want it to be here. I remember starting to do that when I was, I think, like a senior in high school. I started to notice that I started to think about this and think maybe I could have control over this. It's called emotional control. And honestly, it's all just creating a habit of every time you feel something, you take a step back and say, but are my motives correct? Or, it's hard to take a step back, but if you do it a couple of times, you'll get easier and easier. Um, I don't know. Do you have any suggestion on that specific point?
Do I have a suggestion?
Yeah, of learning how to take a step back when you're experiencing that
I don't,
and ask yourself questions.
it's really it's a difficult thing to do, especially in the heat of a moment.
Mhm,
Sometimes there are times when, I mean, I I feel like I've grown a lot since, 10 years ago
mhm.
in this
Oh, I
regard.
still fail at it from time to time too, yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes it takes a person outside of you to
Mhm,
say, "Hey, like, have you thought of this?"
mhm.
Like, maybe this doesn't matter as much as you think it does because, I mean, emotions can well up and then we can kind of
Yeah,
get blinded by that. And
mhm,
so really, I mean, one of the biggest one of the best things I have is my friendship with you, Ryan, and my friendship with your brother,
mhm,
Kyle, because you guys have a way of, just turning when I'm going off into the weeds emotionally. You guys are able to look at it from an outsider's perspective and say, um, well, that's really not that big a deal because just think of this and this and this. And then, it's like, oh, yeah, hey, I'm just being a big, you know, nincompoop or whatever.
well, yeah, and even I am that way sometimes too. If it's nice to have a group of friends that can look after you and love you and emotionally be respectful. Um,
Hmm. Well,
sometimes
but,
yeah, go on.
oh, sorry. I was just going to say, coming here could be helpful too. And thank you for asking your question, Sonali.
Mhm,
Um, because, sometimes we need a person outside of ourselves to do that, and we can be that person to just ask the question, is it possible that maybe your feelings have overtaken your logic?
mhm,
Is that possible? And then once you ask the question if that's possible, you can answer with saying, nope, that's not the case. This is a legitimate, this response that I'm having is legitimate, and that's fine, you know but at least you've asked yourself the question of saying, am I going a little too far here? Am I doing this? But
mhm,
then, you know once you take that step back and analyze it from outside of the situation, however you're able to, you know then you can ask yourself some questions. You know, what is it that this person did that makes me jealous? Why am I jealous of this, situation? Is it because there's a romantic feeling that I have toward this other person? Is it because our friendship was just really close and
mhm.
now it feels like I'm going to lose something? I mean, those are all questions you can then ask yourself, and then you can kind of dig into why you're feeling a certain way. And Ryan, go ahead and continue because,
Oh,
um,
you're good.
no,
Um,
I'm not good.
yeah.
You're better.
No, you're great, man. You're right. You're not good. You're great. Um, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's true. Sometimes a situation can be more complicated, like because there's an emotional reason, but there's also a logical reason that splits both ways, and you can see logic in both directions, and then you have your emotions on top of that. So things are sometimes not always straight cut.
Hmm.
Sometimes things can be really confusing. Um, but yeah, being able to take a step back really helps a lot of times. And
What
but
Angel just said
yeah,
is really good too. Wouldn't it be best to tell your friend how you feel and find a way to both deal with it and not fully restrict your friend? And
hmm
I think that's a really important point too, where if you can open a line of communication with your friend that you're feeling envious of or about or whatever, if you can, you know, open that line of communication without offending, you
Mm-hmm.
know, don't come in an offending sort of manner, but come in a, you know, in a loving way. Tell yourself, if you have to tell yourself inside your head as you approach the situation, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You know,
Sure.
sometimes you have to just repeat that in your head over and over again, so that when you come across in a friendly, loving way, rather than, you know, in attack mode or defense mode,
Or
because that
defense
can
mode. Yeah.
be just as harmful. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can just come in a real way, in a loving way, and then express, you know, hey, you know, I was really hurt by this. I know I can't imagine that you're trying to hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I just wanted to let you know that I felt hurt by this, and put it on you, put all the
Yeah.
blame on yourself, you know, instead of
Mm-hmm.
coming out and saying, you really hurt me. If you come across and say, I felt really hurt by this thing that happened, you know, because when you point the finger back at you, you know, then it really softens the blow. Then somebody can really have the freedom to examine what they did and be like, oh man, you know, I really did make a mistake, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rather than if you just come at them like, you made me feel bad, then they're going to put their defenses up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the conflict will just grow from there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I've had to do this a couple of times where I approach somebody and say, "Look, like you did nothing wrong, and there's, nothing different could have happened. I mean, this is just how it is. This is the way I'm feeling about the situation, and this is what I experienced. Even though you did nothing wrong, this is what I experienced. How do you think we can work through this?"
mhm,
Um, because, you know, like people are oftentimes not completely um, so dense that they don't care about you or your thoughts. So if you just go up to somebody and be like, okay, like, um, you know, like you guys did nothing wrong, but right now I'm feeling like I'm being left out, even though you guys aren't trying to leave me out. I just feel that way. What can we do to like maybe fix this? Because I can't do it. I feel like I can do nothing, you know.
mhm,
So
mhm,
if you guys can help me, or I don't know, just get over this moment, even that would be nice. And a lot of times you'll just get a loving response, because you're making yourself vulnerable in front of them, and a lot of times people take that as a sign of trust and respect.
mhm.
So yeah, sometimes you have to humble yourself and allow yourself to look stupid in front of your friends, in order to move forward and grow and become better. And I'll tell you, it it might linger for a long time. Might feel like, wow, I wonder what they think of me now, because I probably look pretty stupid and they probably think I'm stupid for a long time. But most likely, they aren't even thinking about it. Um, so, yeah, it's just
You know,
it's how it
I
goes.
can you know, those moments can go any way too. I mean, there's, you
Hmm.
know, you may approach them in a very vulnerable you know, way, and say these things and say, hey, you know, I don't know what happened here. I ended up feeling hurt, you know, and you know,
Hmm.
they could, you know, take that and have a loving and caring response. Or I've had it happen before. I remember one time where I had a conflict with a person who was a really, really close friend of mine. He was kind of a mentor to me, and I had a lot of respect for this gentleman, and we had an issue where we didn't see eye to eye on a certain thing, and he made some comments, and kind of he you could tell he got mad and kind of left, and he just made a few comments, and then, you know, then later on we were having a conversation, and I approached him just like I said, you know,
Hmm.
just like what I had learned from reading and from, you know, learning different things about personal relationships and how to approach situations like this, and to be humble, and, you know, try, and you're going to fix the situation, not fix the person, you know. And so I went and I totally put it all on me, and I was like, "Man, you know what? I'm really sorry that that happened. I felt really hurt, you know, from that whole situation, and, I just wanted to let you know that." And his response was, "Well, I'm sorry that you got mad." And I'm like, "Wait a second. That's not." In the back of my mind, at first I was like, "Okay, I just he's trying." Okay. But it just shows a lot about ego, and
Mhm.
all of us can fall into that trap. None of us are immune from having the ego, where
Right.
we can it's almost like we have a
Um,
low self-esteem that causes us to puff ourselves up, you know.
mm,
And so he said this, he said, "I'm sorry you got mad." And I'm like, that's not really even an apology in the back of my brain. I didn't say this out loud.
yeah.
But I'm like, that's not an apology. I'm sorry that you were dumb. That's not an apology.
Yeah, that certainly isn't.
I'm sorry that you're an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not helping the situation. But I remember what that incident then just caused a greater wedge in the relationship,
Mhm.
right? And because of how that all played out, I was going to try and mend things, and then this response of his just created more of a division. And eventually, I mean, we still we still would talk to each other if we saw each other and be friendly and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have a close relationship anymore. But just from other circumstances as well. But it just, sometimes that can happen. That whole story was just to say, it might not all go all happy. you know you might put yourself out there and get yourself shoved right back into your face.
Mhm.
And in that situation, one of the best things I've found to do is to, there are a few things to say to yourself. There's a John Lennon song, and I'm not necessarily a big advocate of his, but he had a song called Let It Be.
Mm.
And
I know
to
that song.
say those words to yourself, let it be. Just, hey, you know what? It's what it is. And then let the feeling, the pain, because it probably will be painful, but
Mhm.
let the pain, wash over you and feel it and experience it and understand. We had gone through some stuff about pain on our last episode, and how pain makes you stronger. Pain is a part
Mhm.
of healing. Pain is a necessary part of it. It's not we treat pain as if it's something we should just avoid at all costs, but really it's, for one thing, it can be a sign of a problem and a place that needs help, so we need to pay attention to it. And it's also a sign that healing is taking place.
Mhm.
So like you can experience that pain and understand that, what, you're going to be strengthened through this experience if you approach it properly.
Mhm.
And so I would just encourage you in that direction to, yes, put yourself out there and understand it might not go the way you want. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't, it might hurt, and that's okay.
Yeah. For me, a lot of times, I'm a very introverted or reserved person. So a lot of times, if there's an issue that I'm having, especially one that I'm experiencing a feeling or whatever, I deal with it internally first before I ever come out with it. So a lot of times if I'm experiencing something like what you're talking about, if there's a jealousy there or um I'm getting upset that someone else is spending time with another person when I go to myself and I ask myself, why is that the case? Like Joe said earlier, ask myself why, what's the reason behind this? And then I'll personally address that reason. So um I remember one time, I think I probably said the story before, but I was really attracted to a girl, and then she started getting close to other people, and then I didn't like that, and then I stopped myself. I said, Ryan, you know, why though? Why are you doing this? And why are you acting like this? You shouldn't be jealous. They're doing nothing wrong, and why? So why are you feeling like you've been wronged? And I started to realize very quickly, like, okay, the reason is because I'm thinking too negatively. I'm
Mm,
thinking about these negative things. I'm allowing that to affect how I feel about the situation, even though that's not really what the situation is. They're just hanging out with another friend, right?
mhm,
um, and I want this for myself. I'm being very selfish because I just want everything for myself, and I want me to have that person's time and not the other person, you know. And so then I took that and I said, okay, how do I fix this then? And so then I said, okay, I've learned before that, okay, this is kind of like depression. I just need to put myself in a different direction. I need to start doing things for other people and not expecting anything in return. That'll help my habits, and how I think about things and how I feel about things. And so then I started doing that, and actually, just that alone, yeah, the first thing I did immediately was I went into the kitchen. I started doing the dishes, after I talked to myself that way, and I was like, yeah, and that helped. And um, and then the next day I did some other stuff, and um, as I started to focus more on other people, immediately my jealousy, almost immediately within a couple of days, my jealousy was gone. I no longer felt that way. Um, so a lot of times when I'm dealing with emotions that I know are caused by myself or how I'm interpreting a situation, even though no one meant any harm, a lot of times I'll always ask myself, did they actually mean to do harm? Because most of the time people don't, but we feel hurt.
mhm, mhm,
And so I always ask myself from their perspective, what did they mean? Did they mean to be mean? Did they mean to be a jerk? If they meant to be a jerk, then whatever. I don't, then I've lost my respect for them. They can gain it back, whatever, like, or I'll forgive them. Honestly, I will. I forgive people really fast. It's um, something that I would recommend to everybody is
mhm.
forgiveness.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
a lot of
incidentally,
times, yeah.
forgiveness is the true way to emotional healing.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of tuck that back in the back of your brain and remember, if you're feeling an emotional tug, if you're feeling emotional stress,
hmm
there's probably something back there where you were wounded by somebody, and forgiving them is the ointment that will heal your
hmm
emotional pain. It will
Yeah.
start the healing process. So just tuck that in the back of your head. Anyway,
Yeah,
continue.
and I think
Sorry.
that's probably why it really helps to address the situation from their angle. Like when I'm
Mm,
feeling distressed about something, especially with a relationship or whatever, look at it from the other person's perspective and say, and assume the immediate first thing you absolutely have to assume is that they didn't mean to do something wrong or stupid, because no one wants to do wrong things or stupid things generally. There are some things out there where you might find people who intend to do wrong just
mhm,
because it makes other people mad. But a lot of times in a relationship where you actually value that person, or even if not, a lot of times my first thing is to argue against myself for them, because that allows me to forgive them faster too. Because I assume that they don't mean to do anything mean. It just happened to be that way. And so then it makes it a lot easier just to say, okay, Ryan, it was no big deal. It was nothing, just kind of saw something that didn't really mean to be there. So it's whatever, it's all cool.
mhm.
Um, so addressing it from the other person's side really helps a lot of times.
Yes.
But yeah, so that is the advice we have on that, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of
Thank
stuff.
you,
We've got
Sonali,
some
for your
comments.
question.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful. Um,
So we've got a few. We've
in a
gotten some
row.
other questions here.
Yeah, we've gotten 4 in a row, which is pretty great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So we have from Angel Z. How do
Well,
I
we
get?
got
Was there
we
one before that?
yeah, we have it was being addressed in the chat a little bit.
hmm
But I think this is one kind of about making friends. I do not have any friends who like anime yet where I live, but there will be an anime event and I intend to go. You guys
Oh,
think you do blah, blah, blah. You guys think it's
okay.
possible for me to
Angela.
make friends there?
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I gotta go back and see who asked
Antilla.
Antilla
Mhm.
Antilles asked that.
Yep.
Yes.
And
Okay.
yeah.
So simple answer, yes. It is possible for you to make friends there. And very likely. I mean, one of the cool things, if you're at a place where people are into what you're into,
Mm-hmm.
then it's really, really easy to, engage people and start talking about these kinds of things. I mean, if you're going to a convention where there's going to be costumes, it's so easy to just, mention something about what you appreciate about somebody's costume. And they will light right up because they probably took some time making that and putting it together and they're proud of that. They wouldn't have shown up if somebody puts together a costume for an event and
Mm-hmm.
they're there. They didn't go thinking, "Oh, I just hope I look dumb." They put some effort into that and took the time to do that, and they may be suffering a little bit. I remember one time where there was a Comic-Con in, Columbus, Ohio. I think it was Comic-Con.
Yeah. Oh wait, I would know, and that's OhioCon.
OhioCon. Yeah, and it was like minus something. It was so cold, and
It
all
was.
these there were all these people wearing these costumes, and these costumes had very much skin showing in some cases. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to be freezing." And so, but they're there, man. They're dedicated, and I just couldn't help but having a level of respect for them. And so it'd be really easy for you to just break the ice in that regard. And always
Mhm.
remember, people, everybody wants validation. Everybody craves people to appreciate them. Everybody wants to appreciate something about them. Deep down inside, that's food that we all want. And if you can offer that food to somebody, if you can offer that food to lots of people, you will have absolutely no trouble making friends.
Mhm.
And if you can always remember that, that there's kind of a tagline that I use if I see somebody I don't know. And I usually just say something like, "Hey, you having fun today? Or are you having fun in here yet?" I'll go to the gas station and I'll see the person behind the counter and they're just like, whatever, packing, putting the cigarettes in the thing, behind at the gas
Yeah.
station. And I'll be like, "Hey, you guys having a good time in here?" "Oh man, it's awful," and blah 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 blah. "Well, when do you get out?" "Oh, I get out in 2 hours." I'm like, "Well, 2 hours, that's all you got left, man." And then
Yep.
it's amazing, right? So, but those are ways you can break the ice. And from there, you can have a conversation. And if you ask other people about them and take a genuine interest in them,
Mhm.
then absolutely you will make friends wherever you go. And if you're at that event and you're into that stuff and they're into that same stuff, then it's just going to be so much easier. So,
Mhm.
yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Joe is a great person to ask for that because Joe is an incredible person at starting up a conversation, keeping it light and enjoyable. I remember watching him just do that in front of my eyes a couple of times for different people that we were meeting for the first time or haven't met in a long time. And Joe was always really good at it, and I respected him for that. Um, and so yeah, pretty much a great line of his I think is awesome is having any fun or that's that sort of line. You guys have any fun in here yet? Or did you do anything fun today? Or have you been having fun? That's a pretty interesting question because it's not just how are you? It's like, are you having fun? It's different.
Hmm.
And it opens itself up to, oh, well, what did you do? Or, that sort of thing. Because it's not just um a closed-ended question where you say, "How's it going?" And they say, "Oh, I'm doing good. How about you?" Good. Okay. you know?
Yep. And then it kind of can stop.
Yeah, because there's no, well, why? Why are you doing good? Um,
What's so good about it that
yeah,
you
what's so good about it? What is it here? How I'm doing? Wait, what? Okay, so yeah. But anyways, honestly, I think okay, so one, you're going to an anime convention, and you should know that the anime crowd is one of the easiest people to make friends with. I'll tell you that from experience.
it's because you guys are all awesome.
Yeah, the anime culture is just really lighthearted, friendly people
Hmm.
generally. It's really easy to get involved and get along with anybody who's in that community because I don't know why it is, but it seems like everyone's pretty quick to be open to new friendships and things like that. So if you're going to an anime con, I wouldn't suggest any other better place to making friends, especially if you're into anime.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I remember like OhioCon when we went. We didn't really go to OhioCon. We were going to a different convention, but OhioCon happened to be there,
Hmm.
and yeah, people were just willing to talk to us. Even like we were just in our own like thing doing something else, and they would come up and say, "Hey, and what's going on? What are you guys doing? I see you're all dressed up for some kind of like meeting or something, you know." And we're like, "Oh yeah, we're part of this other thing." People are just super open and talkative, and I think that's awesome. Best thing you can do is not conceal yourself or hide yourself away or try to be too shy. Allow yourself to just um, be open to people talking to you and talk to some people yourself. I think that's important. Go up to someone and ask them, like, if you like their costume, just talk to them, just say hey. Don't be afraid to ask people if you have a good conversation with somebody. Don't be afraid to ask somebody if you can have their phone or email or something so
Hmm.
that you can message them or to continue the conversation, keep up you know um, the relationship or whatever. uh, that
And
time
always
that can
be
be
sure to
really,
tell them about Don't Worry Wednesday.
yeah. And don't tell them about us. No, and advertise for us every sentence or every other sentence at least. um
Have
no,
you heard of BSS.studio?
yeah. No, no, no,
BSS.studio.
no, no, no.
What
Yes,
was
that's
that? Oh, nothing. Just BSS.studio.
yeah, that's great.
Anyway.
um if don't be afraid to ask people what their contact details are, because a lot of times we get ourselves worked up in that and we're like, it's so scary to ask that. But uh, I like to tell this story. We have Jesse. You guys know Jesse, who does the video game streams and also who is our host right now.
Hmm.
um
He's our producer.
he's our producer. There you
He's on the
go.
control button.
That's right, he could
Like
turn us
he,
off at any moment, so
he
I had
could
to be really careful
totally
about what
just
to say about him.
boom. Yep. And
um
start us back up. Like we could be muted right now and not even know it.
that's true. That's
You
unfortunate.
guys would know it.
Nice. You would know it before we did. Um, there's a problem. Oh.
Do it, Jesse. No, Noah.
So, the first time I met him was in my basement, which was really weird, but yeah, that's how it happened. And I didn't know him at all, really. And I had heard of him. I had seen him before, but I'd never really talked to him. And we ended up playing some Dungeons and Dragons that night and chatting for a little bit. Nothing deep or anything, but just hanging out with a couple of friends. Um, anyways, after a little while, we stopped playing. And then I remember sitting in front of my computer for like 15 minutes, trying to work up the courage just to ask him, hey, what's your MSN Messenger? Back when that was a thing. What's your email address, essentially? Um, yeah, and I remember sitting there 15 minutes watching the clock go by, and just like all I have to do is ask. But what if he says no? They'll be like, and then in front of all of his and my friends or whatever, my brother, it'd be so humiliating. Like, and what if he thinks like I'm creepy for asking that? Man, I probably shouldn't. But I
Creepy.
really want to ask. I think he's such an awesome guy. But um, after 15 minutes, I finally worked up the courage, and I was like, "Hey, what do you have an MSN Messenger?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's blah blah blah." And I was like, "Was that easy? He just gave it to me? Like, what?" And I was like, "Whoa, that was so relieving!" Like, yeah,
What?
he just like, wow, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And so then he gave it to me, and I never messaged him again until 5 years later. And I'm serious about that. Literally 5 years later, I finally messaged him, and now we're really close, great friends. It's pretty funny, but that would have never happened if I never asked. And I remember working up the courage and how hard that was. So don't be afraid to ask. Some people are going to say no. Who cares? That was
Mhm,
not the person that you're there for then. Someone else will say yes. And
mhm,
maybe they're the person that you'll make a friendship with. So don't be afraid to get turned down. It happens a lot in life, but I'll bet you more times than you expect, you won't get turned down. People are going to be open about, oh, yeah, a new friend? Why not? I'm here to make friends too. Most
mhm,
people are there to make friends too, have a good experience, meet new people, enjoy the situation that's going on around them. If people
mhm.
are not wanting to make friends, they're the ones sitting home at their computers not doing anything, um, and they're not the ones at the anime convention generally.
Right.
So don't be afraid to ask people, hey, what's your email address so we can continue the conversation? What's your phone number so I can continue to text you? That kind of stuff. People will be generally open to that. So don't be afraid to do that. But yeah, everything Joe suggested. One thing I always say is what matters most in dealing with people is not how you look to them, but how they look like to themselves, how they
Mm,
feel when you talk to them. If you make
absolutely.
them look good to themselves, if they like how they feel when they're around you, if
Mm,
you uplift them and say like, "Oh, I really like your hair. You have an awesome hair, or whatever." I don't know, doesn't matter. I like your shoes. I think that you are a very kind person. Saying nice things about someone makes them feel good about themselves, and that's what's important in a relationship,
mm,
especially when you're just starting a relationship. The most important thing you can do is make them feel good about themselves, because then they're going to want to be around you more, you know, because then because people have a natural and good attraction to feeling good about themselves.
mhm.
Um, it's a good thing that people have that attraction. And so they're going to want to be around you more because they're going to want to continue feeling good about themselves. Um, I remember that was probably one of the key things about me and Joe's relationship in the beginning, was that I just loved how I felt when I was around Joe, because Joe was always uplifting, always made the situation enjoyable and fun and everything. And so, and he was really
It
great at
doesn't.
compliments.
It doesn't
So
happen anymore though. Now I'm a really big meanie.
yeah,
You
that's
can
right.
tell. You can
He
tell.
only
I
talks.
got my mean face on right now.
It's pretty wicked looking, man. This is my mean face.
No, that's a really, really, really great point, Ryan. I remember there was a story about a lady who sat with two dignitaries, two very high level, politician people that were in an election, and I can't remember their names. And I don't even know if the story's true or not, but it makes a really great point.
Okay.
And this lady said, with one of the politicians, the dignitaries, she said, I spent 5 minutes talking to this guy, and after 5 minutes, I was absolutely convinced that he was the most amazing person I'd ever met. And then I talked to this other one for 5 minutes, and after talking to him for 5 minutes, I was convinced that I was the most amazing person that he'd ever met.
Mm,
And which person made more of an impact? Obviously, the one who made this lady feel like she was amazing rather than
yeah.
trying to convince her that he was so awesome,
Mhm.
which you can do. You can totally do that, but those people aren't going to you're not going to develop a friendship, you're not going to make an impact on these people unless you can make them feel like they are the most amazing person that you ever
Mhm.
met, and that was one thing when I remember learning that, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I'd been going around trying to convince everybody that I was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think we all do that. I think
but then when I realized that it's like, no, 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 flip that around. It's all about making them feel like they're awesome. And then, oh my gosh, wouldn't you know, I started actually having a couple of friends.
yeah.
It was
You don't have to
amazing.
prove to other people that you're amazing. They'll figure that out when it's time,
Yeah.
because you're not
Well,
gonna
they're
be
going to think
changing.
Ryan talks about these things. He talks about, that, I did these things. Ah, man, I am glad that some of what I learned got manifested into the real world. you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is total. I mean, Ryan does the exact same thing for me. Like, especially when I feel discouraged, making a song, when I'm working full time and I got family and I got all these different things going on and I'm working on a song and I'm trying to get it done. And Ryan always has something to say that is like encouraging and takes the stress level down. And it's like, no, it'll be fine. You'll get it, And like, I understand you got all this other stuff going on. I just can't wait to hear it when it's done, you know?
Mhm.
And then, yeah. But that goes so far when you can make other people feel great about themselves. And that, man, I can't emphasize that point,
Yeah.
enough. And Ryan, I'm really glad that you brought that up because that's huge.
Well,
So,
thanks for the question, Antilla. Hopefully that answered or helps you as you go forward.
yes, nice mean face too.
Yeah. It's cute, actually. It's not even like it's actually more cute than it is aggravating
Yeah,
or
that's
scary.
kind of, but you know what? I'll tell you, because I do martial arts with my kids and,
Mhm.
and it's fun. And I always talk about this. It's probably boring you people, and I'm very sorry for that.
Oh well, they can leave at any time.
That's true. But I will tell you this. I get to spar lots of people, and I was like, "Wear your warrior face," put it in your warrior face. And some of the kids' warrior face is just too cute.
Too cute. Yes, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
But then when I spar the teenage girls,
Oh, scary.
that's like scary warrior face. I'm like, whoa, I'm about to die here very painfully and slowly.
There is some torture going to happen here. I can see it in their eyes.
Yes, my head is
They're
going
going
to
to get out all their teenage aggression right now, aren't they? Right on me.
me.
Their boyfriend that dumped them last week, that's on me now. Great.
Oh,
Yeah.
so anyway, thank you so much, Antilla, for the question, and I
Hmm.
hope that is helpful for you.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. Yeah,
so
I'll tell you, there's no better place you could be going to make friends. I think that an anime convention is an excellent opportunity. And so don't be shy or don't be afraid to just actually just talk to people. Allow
mhm,
yourself to be open. Um, allow yourself to look stupid. Because like we said before, it's not about impressing other people by
mhm,
making you look how awesome you are and that you've got all these talents and whatever. The main point is just to make other people feel awesome. And sometimes I'll tell you what, I made a lot of friends by being stupid, and that's awesome because then it's not like people like you because of your talent. It's
mhm.
not like my friend Rainey, she has a lot of times people approach her just because she's a good artist. And
Yeah,
so then they'll make
and
friends with
she
her
is.
and they'll ask her, she is, yeah. And then they'll ask her like, hey, can you do this kind of art for me? We're friends, right? All this kind of stuff. Um, and she always feels like she's getting taken advantage of because she has this talent, or people like her just because she has this talent. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more discouraging than that,
Mm.
because there's more to a human than their own talents and their strengths.
Yeah,
There's
you
also,
kind of feel used.
hmm yeah. So it's not hard to make friends. In fact, you see the people with the most friends are generally the people that are just silly.
Mm,
That's because they make other people feel fun, have fun.
mhm.
Um, so
And it's
yeah,
very
don't worry.
relatable to be an idiot once in a while.
Totally,
Because
because we're all
all of us make mistakes. All of us do
Mhm.
stupid things once in a while. And if for you to just, oh well, I messed up there. Big deal.
Uh,
That's very, very relatable because then
mhm,
people are like, oh, he's a human being just like me. We all screw up. We all make mistakes, whatever. And
mhm,
one of the things, if I can encourage you, I imagine, because you're going to this convention that you already have this level of awesomeness about you. One thing I would encourage against is being judgmental.
mhm.
Sometimes it's really easy for us to, like, especially when we see people dressed up in certain ways, it's like, oh, well, their costume isn't that great, or their got and we kind of get judgy, like we're the judges panel, rating their costumes
Sure.
or whatever, or like, oh man, I can't believe they went out in that kind of thing, and you hear all these kinds of different things. Like, just leave all that behind you. You will that will wreck the trip for you. because in your mind you'll just be sitting there like, oh man, I can't believe that person, blah 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 blah, and it's like, don't do that.
Mhm.
Just find something you like and go encourage it. And Ro, hi Ro, by the way,
Hey, Ro.
welcome. Ro says she gets such a boost of confidence when she gets compliments on her costumes. Like,
Yeah, and
absolutely,
she's really good.
she is
Ro's
good.
amazing.
Oh my gosh. And she made plushies.
Yes.
She made Static P plushies.
I
Detective,
don't have them
detective.
with
Was it
me.
detective, detective?
Yeah, it was Detective and a little dango, but I don't have them with me. I would show them, but I don't have them with me. Sorry.
Oh well. But yeah, Ro draws is awesome.
Hmm. But yeah, um, very cool. So anyways, let's go to the next question, I guess. Yeah.
Sure.
Excuse me. It's currently an hour in, so do you want to just do one more?
Sure, we'll do one more and we'll see how far we get. And then everybody
We'll
who
see how it goes.
asked, we've got, man, let's see.
Yeah,
So
we've
we're going
got
to
a
ask
lot of
a
them.
question from Angel,
Angel, we've got Angel, and then yeah.
and then
So I guess that was.
CO4, and then Aiden LeBlanc and Gage Meadows. My goodness, we're just not going to be able to get to all your questions tonight. But I tell you
Yeah.
what, we will start the next episode.
With your
And
questions, yes.
yes, your questions will be at the forefront since we have them listed in the Don't Worry Wednesday section, and you may get some answers in there in the forums also.
Yeah. So how that
Depending on
works is
who,
Jesse's been taking the questions that you post and putting them in the forums. So next time we start Don't Worry Wednesday
studio.
next week,
Should
we
we
won't have
you
anything
want
to
me to
talk
post a
about right
link
off.
to that?
Yeah, sure. We don't have anything to talk about because no one will have posted questions yet. So we'll just go to the forums and start talking about whatever you posted last. So um, show up early so that you can hear your question answered. Because that's just how it goes.
Yep. So there's the link to the page where the questions are actually posted.
Thanks, Joe.
Excuse me.
All right. So Angel ZXD asks, how do I get over a bad habit? Not saying what it is, but it's really discouraging and affecting me really badly. Do you have any advice on getting over bad habits?
Yes, I do.
Cool. All right. Next question. No, just kidding.
It kind of depends on the habit. I've been told that it's very difficult to stop a bad habit. It's much easier to start a good habit and replace the bad habit with the good habit. So if you can think of something, that you do, like okay, let's say this bad habit is a nervous tick that you have or something, or maybe it's a bad habit where you're not doing something, one what the best thing you can do is begin a habit that can replace it, that can counter it. So,
Mhm.
and then the key, I think the key is 21 days in a row.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I think if you do something 21 days in a row, then it starts to become a habit. Now you have a good habit that's countering the bad habit. So now there are nuances to this. Like your bad habit may involve addiction. I don't.
You mean
I'm not.
physical addiction?
I'm not telling you. Yeah. I'm not telling you that you have to say. It says you don't want to say what it is, and that's totally fine. You don't need to divulge what it is. Um, but I can remember. Oh, geez, when you're dealing with physical addiction, sometimes you have there are other measures you have to take. If you're dealing with just psychological addiction, then there are measures you have to take as well. If it's simply a habit, just something you've been doing that is not good, then just replacing it with a better habit, might just get you through. If it's let's see. Okay. So let's say it's something like smoking, though, where here you have a combination of a physical addiction and a psychological addiction along with the habit. So not only do you have multiple forces working against you now. And so if you need to get over a physical addiction, okay, I will tell you right now, there will be pain involved. Okay. Because what's happened in the case of a physical addiction is you have a chemical imbalance in your body. Okay. This is
Caused
the
generally by the addiction.
caused by, if in the case of smoking, we'll just use smoking as an example, because that's the one that I personally dealt with, and had to, take these measures in order to stop. um the physical side of things, a lot of times people will use nicotine replacement. And to me, what I looked at was that's just prolonging the inevitable. Like, you are going to have to break from that chemical at some point in time. And sometimes it's not even the nicotine that you're most addicted to. There are so many other chemicals in a cigarette that, like,
Mm.
you're what happens is you ingest these chemicals, right? You take in these chemicals through the smoke or through whatever, right? And now your body wants to balance things out, so your body produces chemicals to counteract the chemicals that you've just taken in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you following me? So your body's always trying to stay in balance, and then what happens is the chemicals from the cigarette, those get processed through your body before the ones that your body produces. So now you have a chemical imbalance again based on what your body produced. And so that's why you feel a withdrawal, because you have a chemical imbalance. Your body has produced chemicals to counteract the other ones. And so you think you need the chemicals re-ingested in order to balance yourself out. So it just turns into this crazy cycle, and it increases over time, and it just can get ridiculous, right? So the things that help, and if it's a physical addiction, somehow in some way you have to get yourself to there are three things to do. You need to get those chemicals out of your system. So exercise, for one, and I would recommend cardiovascular
Even if
exercise.
it's
And
mental,
what's that?
even if it's only mental, exercise is good
Oh yeah, absolutely.
for
Because
helping if you get rid of
that
the mental
can,
one.
yep, absolutely, because that produces endorphins and all kinds of stuff that's good for your mentality. But for physical addiction, exercise, water, and rest. Those are key elements. And whatever other stuff you decide to do, put the water, the exercise, and sleep in there, because what that's going to do, the exercise and the water is going to flush the chemicals out of your system and help you process that stuff faster. And then the rest will help your body heal faster. So that will smooth out the physical addiction side of things. And in most cases, a physical addiction is conquered in a matter of days or maybe a couple weeks, depending on what it is that you're addicted to. But yeah, those
Mhm.
things, work those into your system. You might have to gradually step down, depending on what type of a drug it is or what type of a chemical it is. You might
Mm.
not be able to
Sure.
stop immediately. I know in cases of alcohol, if you're a severe enough alcoholic, the withdrawal symptoms can be lethal. Like, you can actually die
Literally,
from a
yes.
withdrawal. So, like, you have to, in that case, you have to step down. In some cases, I would encourage you to see a doctor, to get some help. But water, exercise, rest for the physical side of things. For mental, you need to reprogram your brain somewhat. In my case, with the cigarettes, one of the things that they had me do, they said, okay, 2 weeks before you set your date to quit, every cigarette you smoke, you put in a jar of water and you close the lid on the jar. And then every time before you light a new cigarette, you look and smell at this nasty jar of watery cigarette butts. Right. And then when you get
Mhm.
done, you put the cigarette out of there and take a big old whiff of it, and it's gross, right? And so you're programming yourself that this is nasty, right? So your mind is getting this message now that this is nasty, right? And then there are different forms of meditation. There's something called self hypnosis, where, what I would say is you lay down, and I'm actually thinking about producing some type of meditation audio where it will have some relaxing music and then maybe some guided meditation type of stuff to help you get into the relaxed state. Um, Sometimes it's tough to gauge. There's a lot out there that you can just find on YouTube. Sometimes you find subliminal messages in those that can be damaging. So I just put a disclaimer out
That's
there now. You can get guided meditations that have some weird subliminal stuff going on that you don't want
true.
that type of stuff in your brain. So just be wary
Sure.
of that. I'm thinking about producing a neutral one that is just there to guide you into a very meditative state, so then you have access to your subconscious mind. You can feed your subconscious mind pictures of what it is of the new behavior that you're trying to adopt. So, um, a lot of this is suggestion, a lot of this is visualization and making the picture as vivid as possible and getting all of your senses involved. When you lay back and take deep breaths, you know, and then just kind of get yourself in a relaxed state and kind of almost in a trance. I always heard the recommendation of imagine that your feet and your hands are made of cement. So they're really heavy, just
Nice.
like, there you are. And just imagine, okay, my feet are made of cement and my hands are made of cement and I just can't move them and I can't feel anything and I can't move. And, and then have that cement feeling expand up your legs and up your arms until it envelops your whole body. And then from there, you are simply a consciousness. You're completely focused on your mental state rather than what's going on in your body. You almost have an out of body experience at that point, right? But then at that point, you can communicate with your subconscious mind more fully because you're more focused and you can give yourself the pictures. Okay, what is the new habit? What is the new way that you want to be? In my case, they said feed yourself images of clean water, you're swimming, you're able to breathe fully, you're athletic, all these different things that would totally not be associated with smoking, right? So just think and visualize this and imagine what it will feel like, imagine what it will taste like, imagine what it will look like and smell like. All of the senses, get all of those involved. And from there you can start to treat a psychological addiction, which I can tell you this, that is the big beast that you're fighting in any addiction. The physical side with water, exercise, rest, and maybe gradually stepping down, you can handle a physical addiction much faster than the psychological. But once you can figure out how to get in and feed yourself the images of, the non-addicted person, then you can start to reprogram your brain and the psychological addiction can then be conquered once you get that image. And then and then you will just automatically start to move in that direction. It won't be overnight. It will take time and it will take discipline to reprogram your brain. It won't happen in one time. It'll take doing it, as a habit. You'll kind of create a new habit of meditating or visualization.
Mhm.
Those are the things that can conquer psychological addiction. So I don't know if you wanted all of that information, but hopefully it can help somebody. And, if it's just a bad habit, start a good habit and take it for 21 days. If it's an addiction that's involved, if it's a psychological one, start to introduce those messages into your subconscious through visualization. If it's physical, the rest, the water, the exercise, those things can help with that as well. So uh there's what I have for habit forming, I guess.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Ryan, thoughts, comments? You can tell me that was completely ridiculous if you want.
that was amazing. No, that was all great stuff.
Amazing. You know what's great about the word amazing?
It doesn't have to have any. It could
It,
be
it,
amazingly bad or amazingly
it,
good.
yes, it can be used in any way. Like I have people call me up. How's your day going? Amazing.
In what way?
And I might have just had the worst day possible, but it was amazingly
Mhm.
horrible. Anyway,
Yeah. Um, no,
so
no, totally. That's great. That's way more than I could have said. So that's awesome. Um, I would say only thing I could add on top of that is actually it's not really adding anything, but more putting emphasis on something Joe said. Um, when 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 you're trying to get over a habit, creating a new habit a lot of times is the best route, and or creating a new perception, creating a new way of thinking about it. I found when there's things that a lot of times our habits, whatever they are, a lot of times they're pretty empty. They leave you feeling empty. They don't fill your mind with new information that's good for you and all that kind of stuff. Um, if you can form an addiction to becoming a better person, form an addiction to desiring what's good for you, forming an addiction to um, learning information and that sort of stuff. As strange as that and maybe difficult as that sounds, it's as easy as just starting. So um, just start to um, give yourself time to enjoy learning something. Um,
mm,
finding something about maybe you're a religious person or maybe you aren't, but you'd like to know more. Learn about it. See, understand all of the different concepts in lore. Understand history. History is a boring subject in school, but you know what? It's one of the most fascinating subjects on this planet. If you can really dive into it from a better perspective than just learning dates and things. If you can if you can find history books that talk about the lives of the person, the things that they felt, making it more human and personal, and understanding, why they did the things they did.
mhm,
That's true history, and that's really much more enjoyable. So if you can find time to fill your mind with information, when it comes to that habit, your mind will look at it. And what's beautiful is you'll have this thought of that's it's almost like I don't even want to do it because like that seems like a waste of time. And like I'd get nothing out of it. And it's not even like you've known that for a while now. Most of the time, it's like I'll get nothing out of this really in the long run. You've known that for a while now, but to really actually take act in doing something that fills you, to actually take it, um, to actually take actions that make you a better person or help you grow. Then, when you're faced with the habit, you've gotten a taste of what's good, and
mhm,
the taste of what's bad will naturally be actually like a real thing. Like, oh, this is bad. I really actually don't want to do it. It does sound bad. It doesn't seem like it will leave a good taste in my mouth, whatever it is. Um, and by taste in my mouth, I meant like mental taste in my mouth, not. But obviously, maybe it's eating food. I don't know. Maybe it
right.
is a good taste. Maybe it's a food thing. But
A bad habit of
um,
eating too much chocolate.
yeah,
It leaves a good taste in
yeah,
my
yeah, that's true.
mouth.
But
Anyway.
if you actively participate in doing those things which enlighten your mind or make you smarter, make you stronger, make you grow in some way or another, um, then when you encounter this habit, this desire to do what is not good for you, this bad habit, or maybe not good for somebody else, maybe it's harming other people, whatever it is, that's not good for you either, though. Um, your mind will have more of a honest reaction to it that will be like, no, I don't want to do that. Um, because it's had a taste of what could be,
Mm.
and it's actually had a taste of it. Just like, Joe was talking about reprogramming your brain with images and thoughts and concepts. After you do that, go out there and actually do those things,
Mm-hmm.
because then you have a taste of it. And it's not, and a lot of times those things, like, for example, exercise, like, that's not an enjoyable process. But after you're done exercising, you never regret that you did it. You
Mm.
always feel good.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to recommend a video, um, while it's a religious video, you don't have to listen to all the religious points. The main point of the video is, and the reason I would say watch is because he kind of delves into it, and it's a wonderful and beautiful thing. Even if you're not religious, you don't have to pay any attention to the religious parts of it. But look up a video called um, what was it called? Hold on. It's called um, it's by Matthew Kelly. And let me just try to remember the name of it. I'm gonna go to YouTube. It's on YouTube. In fact, I'll even post a link. I'm just gonna go search it real quick. Matthew Kelly. Oops. Matthew Kelly. Best
And he's
version
fun.
of yourself. That's
He's
what it's
fun to
called.
listen to too, because he's Australian.
He's Australian, yeah. My Australian accent is terrible. In fact, this is more English than anything. Okay. Let's take the timer off. All right. So here is something called The Best Way to Live by Matthew Kelly. And I would just listen to this video, or just watch it. You don't have to watch it. The picture is just literally nothing, but listen to it. Taking that act of listening to it, and it's an hour long. It's 52 minutes. And you might think that's a long time. So whenever you find the time to listen to something, even if it's doing something at the same time, like working on a picture or something, listen to that and understand what it has to say. Just by doing that act alone will fill your mind with a new found desire to beat your habit, or to fill your mind. It because not only are you actively participating in filling your mind with better information and healthier knowledge and healthier ways of looking at the world, you are setting yourself up to want those things and do that more often. And that's kind of a really good habit to get into. So my first suggestion is listen to that video. Listen to that video. Listen to the audio in that video, which is literally just not even a video. It's just a picture. Anyways, I hope all that helps. But that's what I've got.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bad habits are tough.
Mm-hmm.
I've had plenty of them, and I try not to develop more of them.
Yes, certainly.
Try to develop good habits, and you know what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, we have consciences that can inform us, and we can also inform our consciences. Consciences, is that the plural of conscience?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it.
All right,
I'm not
good.
a linguist. I don't know if my vote counts, but
So yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, you guys are amazing. Mega Hobbit has just come in and has been putting some awesome motivational stuff on here in the chat. So if you haven't been paying attention to the chat, yeah, you guys
are awesome. CPO4 will probably ask your question at the beginning of the next stream. So if you want to stop on by, that would be awesome. Next Wednesday at the same time.
Yes.
7
o'clock.
Yeah.
Wednesday. Actually, what did we started at like 7:06 or something like that today.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but the thing to do would be to subscribe and hit the notifications button. And then you'll be notified when we're about to go live. Because we always put a little timer or I say we. That would be
It's actually
Jesse.
Thank Jesse. Applause for Jesse
Yes,
for
Jesse. Thank you for being a
everything
stellar
he's doing,
producer.
for posting the stuff on the website and everything like that.
Yes. And we have this thought. I had this idea, this smashing idea. We'll see how well it goes.
All right.
But I'd like to take our streams and kind of divide up the questions and then maybe put those segments into the website where those streams are. So look for that. That maybe the answer to your question, if your question didn't get answered today, and then it doesn't get it, and then you don't happen to be available to come to the next live stream, then keep an eye on the website, the one that I posted. I'll post it again, where you can go to see the actual questions, and then keep an eye there, and then it may come up that your question that got asked will have a video segment in that topic. So, which I think would be pretty cool. But if we can make that work, we'll do that. If not, I'm sorry. But you'll just have to come to the stream or watch the episodes to see when we get to your question. But
Willow, that's a great question. Will we be posting downloads of the streams on the site? We're thinking about doing some podcast stuff, and this would be good content. That's actually a really good idea. We'll see if we might be able to do something like that. Yeah. This is mostly audio for people anyways. I mean, yes, we have our faces here, but that's not necessary.
Right. Yeah. In fact, I'm a lot better looking on audio.
I don't know about that.
I am. It's true.
Okay.
Perhaps SoundCloud. Yeah, that's actually probably the first spot that will be moving.
SoundCloud or podcast?
Podbean.
Podbean.
Yes. We were looking into, but I think we've decided that we may
okay.
We may start with SoundCloud, and then maybe if things go, how we think they might, we might migrate to Podbean. We'll see. But at any rate, look for those, and then go to the just keep an eye on the website in the topics from the live stream, and then hopefully what we'll have is those questions just answered, and we'll have the audio and then maybe the link to the YouTube section of that, and then where you can actually get the answer there. So
nice.
We're hoping to put that into place and do it very soon, and we'll keep you guys updated. So keep coming back to Don't Worry Wednesday, and thank you all for being here. My goodness. We wouldn't do it without you. We couldn't.
Yeah, it would be weird because then we would be talking to no one the whole time.
Yes. And Sonali, yeah, you're very welcome for streaming, and thank you for being here at like everything.
Yeah, seriously, Sonny, you're amazing.
And for putting together the fan wiki. My goodness. We haven't posted a link to that in a while. Do we have a link to that somewhere?
Let's just Google it. Or Sonny can do it.
Yeah. Whoever can get to it first. Sonali, if you want to post a link to the BSS wiki that you created, which is just incredible. There we go. Thank you.
There you go.
You can see some of Sonali Bright's amazing work. Oh my gosh. Like he's
put a lot of work into it. Oh my gosh.
You found some stuff that was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe that you found this stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yep. So thank you very much, Sonali, for being with us. And all the rest of you guys are awesome.
Yep.
And Jesse's awesome. And are we gonna do the awkward stream die out for 10 minutes?
Just figure out how to end the call or whatever for like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, however long it takes.
Great.
Just stare into the camera. Oh yeah. At some point or another, this is gonna end.
With your warrior face.
Like to know when.
We would like to know when it ends, Jesse.
Oh.
Just a warrior face.
Oh, will the
Right?
instrumental for a message? Oh, Sunnily, will the instrumental for a message to pop culture be released? Yes, it will. It's on my to-do list. It'll be done here very shortly. I had the next song I've been working on. I wanted to get the mix done for that, and now that's done, so I can do the instrumental. But thank you for the reminder.
Very good.
The staring is intimidating.
Staring. When I was a kid, I always looked at that word and I was like, that's stupid. That's written like starring, starring. Except for it's not starring because starring has 2 R's in it. Dumb.
Wait.
Wait. English writers, wait. They're evil. How can we spell things to make it terrible for our people who are trying to learn? I just love it.
That's awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways,
Well,
thanks for joining
thanks,
us, guys.
guys, for
We
coming.
love you.
You guys are amazing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.